A Cobb EMC energy audit is the best way to learn how to save energy around your home. And it's a free service, so why not take advantage of it? We're going to a member's home today to show them how they can save energy. We're here in the living room, and today we're going to talk about the fireplace. We're here with Miss Laws. Do you have any concerns about what's going on in the living room?
I do. It's really drafty in here. Do you have any recommendations?
Oh yes, I see there's a fireplace in here. So I'll go into some homes and that's what people tell me. So, where the fireplace is, it's just really drafty. And the reason for that is most of the time the damper in the chimney, which opens and closes, they don't seal real well. So even though it's closed, it's still leaking air. So anywhere in the home where you may have other leaks, the air's moving back and forth. Air is a lot like water. It's looking for the path of least resistance. So any place it can leak in and move around in the house, you're going to feel a draft. Now, there's a device in the market that I really like. It's called a fireplace chimney seal, and it's a great way to address any kind of air leakage. And basically, all it is, it's like a balloon on the end of a really long straw. So you would put it up into the chimney, and it's got a little valve on the end of that little straw there, and you inflate it. And what that does, it'll air seal the chimney, stop the air from moving back and forth so you won't feel the draft.
Okay.
Now the nice thing about that device, it's not a permanent seal on the chimney. If you use your fireplace occasionally, just open the valve up and you can take it right out of the chimney and the fireplace is good to go. It's ready to use. But that's a great way to take care of any kind of drafts or air leaks at a chimney. Another area of concern is floor vents. You don't ever want to block them. If you rearrange furniture in a room and you don't want to put a chair or a couch up against a vent, you want that air to be able to circulate throughout the house so the heating and air system can do what it's supposed to do properly.
So this room fluctuates with the season. It gets cold in the winter and it gets hot during the summer. Do you have any recommendation?
Yeah, it's a beautiful room. It's got lots of windows in here. But one thing you could do, especially with this nice large window you have here, there's some nice window tints on the market now. And what I mean by that is they'll let in ambient light, but they'll reflect that solar heat gain back out again. So that's a good way to kind of keep the temperature moderated in the summertime since you're with a good window tint. Also, caulking around the windows. If the caulk is old and brittle, it'll start coming out and you can start having air leaks moving. So side of the house maybe that's catching a lot of sun, that sunlight will break down the caulk and start coming out. So like maybe in the spring once a year, go around the outside of your home and look around your exterior windows and doors. If you see that's occurring, you can certainly, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you can go get some caulk and a caulk gun and re-caulk those areas and you'll be good to go.
So I work from home. My kids are home from school. Do you have any recommendations on the temperature? What we should set our thermostat?
Yeah, with the thermostats, we go by the Department of Energy recommendations, and those are 68 in the wintertime and 78 in the summer. Now, a programmable thermostat can save you some money over time, but what we've all noticed over the past few years is more and more people are working out of the home. So inevitably, if you got a couple people in a house, somebody gets cold or somebody gets hot, they walk by and they bump the thermostat up or down. So if that's going on, you've just thrown your savings right out the window. So if you can just try to maintain those temperatures, the programmable thermostat can definitely save you some money over the course of a year.
Awesome. So 68 during the winter, 78 during the summer.
Yes, correct.
Okay. So I'll adjust my temperature. I have it at 72.
All right, super. We're at the attic. I'm so glad. On this attic access, if you'll take note, all you've got is this thin piece of wood right here. There's no insulation and there's no air sealing going on right here. Now, what I like right here is called an attic access insulation tent. And the ones that are really good, they fasten to the top side of the frame. They're made of Mylar, and between the Mylar sheets, there's insulation. There's also a zipper on it so you can get up into the attic. But what I like about those is it insulates and it air seals this access point. So if you stop and think about it right now with nothing here, in the summer, it gets really hot in our attics, right? So that radiant heat is coming down into your living space. And also there's a thermostat right here. So it's affecting this thermostat. It's making your HVAC system run too long. Now, you can get those insulation tents online. And if you're a do-it-yourselfer, it's not that difficult of a job to do. Now, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to run up here and have a look in your attic and have a look at your insulation, and I will come back down and tell you what I see. So if you look down here, it looks like these ceiling joists are 2x6s, and there's some voids. In a lot of areas you can see the tops of the rafters right here. And think about it, that's only 6 inches of insulation. So somewhere in the range, maybe an R18 to R20. Current code is R38. R38 is 17 to 18 inches thick. So this attic could definitely benefit from some added insulation up here. The nice thing about that, bringing the insulation up to code, is you can recoup the cost in 2.5 to 3 years. It really helps out on the energy bill. If we step right here and have a look at the heating and air system, the big thing here is the filters. Just stay on top of your filter changes. Do this on a regular basis. It's one of those things that's out of sight, out of mind. We don't think about filters, but if it gets dirty, plugs up, doesn't move the air, doesn't satisfy the thermostat downstairs, the system runs too much, bill goes up. So again, one of those simple things, just keep them changed on a regular basis and have the system serviced on a regular basis as well. Ideally, in the springtime, service it. Any system can leak the Freon charge and get low. The Freon is the gas that makes the AC cool. So if it's low in the summer, it's not going to cool right, it won't satisfy the thermostat, system runs too long, bill goes up. So just stay on top of maintenance for your HVAC system. And with all that said, let's go downstairs and tell the homeowner what we found.
So tell me what you find. What's the good news?
All right. Well, I've seen a lot of attics and a lot of insulation over time, but your attic insulation is in the R25 range. The ceiling joists you got up there, they're 2x6s. And if you look around up there, you can see the tops of those joists in a lot of areas. So that's what you do not want. Current code for attic insulation is R38. For an R38, you're talking 17 to 18 inches thick. So you can definitely benefit from having your insulation brought up to code up here. Also, the great thing about insulation, because that's the number one thing I see doing audits, is lack of attic insulation. But the nice thing about that is you can generally recoup those costs in 2.5 to 3 years in energy savings. So yeah, you could benefit from that for sure. The heating and air system up there, do you have that serviced on a regular basis?
Yes, twice a year.
Okay, that's great. That's the big thing, is consistency. Make sure that you're changing those filters on a regular basis. Some houses it may be 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days in other houses. But just again, the bottom line is make sure you change those filters on a regular basis. All right, great. Here we are in the basement. We're going to have a look at the hot water heater.
Good, because I don't come down here that often, so I'm looking forward to what you have to say.
All right. Awesome. Well, in your case, you've got a gas water heater, which is a good thing. Okay. And I just want to talk a little bit about the temperature. You don't want your water scalding hot. And there is a temperature control on a gas and an electric water heater that you can adjust. So I'd recommend, somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 degrees on that, and especially if you have small children in the house. You don't want any type of scalding hazard if the water is too hot. But also by lowering that temperature, you're going to save yourself a little money too. So it's not using as much energy to heat the water. Something else I want to point out in this situation too, on a water heater, you have a cold side and then the hot side, obviously, where the hot water is coming out. But on this one, there's no insulation here. They make a foam pipe insulation. I'm not sure if you can see it in the picture, but there's some up there, but it stops. It needs to come all the way down, because you're losing a little efficiency, you're losing a little heat right here. If you were to grab this pipe where I am, you'd see that it's pretty warm. So again, you're trying to make it as efficient as possible, and this is actually copper and we're losing heat right here. So just add some additional insulation here and it'll make it a little more energy efficient.
So here we are outside. Here's my AC unit. What do you think?
I think they look great. These are nice and clear. Now, I will go to some homes and there's bushes and grass growing really close around these things. You don't want that. What these units are doing when they're running, they're pulling air in the sides and blowing it out the top. So if you start blocking that, you start killing the efficiency of the units. So if that's the case at your house, just make sure there's ideally an 18-inch air gap all the way around these units so they can breathe and move air properly. Other than that, these look like they're in great shape.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you.
You're welcome.